I can disrupt an individual from the level of their cell to their system, and disrupt individuals on a variety of levels, from individuals all the way up to the social fabric. Target a specific individual, change or eliminate that individual with very little attribution and trace, and be able to leave prior to any attribution.
Who here actually feels like they are under surveillance pretty regularly?
Anyone occupiers, no?
Everyone inside of Occupied. How many people here have been arrested and at their court date, they had their phone taken into the back room? How many people here had their retina scanned? Wow.
If you're targeting demonstrators, you make them suicidally depressed, and they don't care about demonstrating anymore because they're too upset. With one pulse frequency, you can just make people so suicidal they can't be bothered to act like a demonstrator anymore. All they want to do is sleep or lay in bed all day.
There's an infrastructure in place in the United States and worldwide that NSA has built in cooperation with other governments as well that intercepts basically every digital communication, every radio communication, every analog communication that it has sensors in place to detect.
If they can't get it through the internet, through the tapping of the lines or anything like that, through a commercial means, and they're unsure about you, they can get it by close access means, coming in and actually bugging your house or bugging your, or putting monitors in your system, in your house or on your computer. They can use your computer video to look back at you, or they can monitor within a certain distance the keystrokes you're making on your computer or what you're putting on your computer screen. And if that's not enough, they can come in through the firewall you think you have but don't, and go through your operating system that you think protects you but doesn't, and read your encrypted email that you thought was secure but isn't. Or they can simply wait for you to do decrypts if you've done that, and pull them off and use your unused CPU while you're on the computer to drain it. It's called active attack.
We are in a new Cold War, and this is why countries are developing this. I mean, really developing this. And this is why all of the microwave transmitters are going up everywhere. Because somebody, if they wanted to, could use them for other effects. The system is up and running.
MIT was awarded a number of years ago to Woody Norris. This is 2005 or 2006. And that award was $500,000 for doing what's called acoustic heterodyning, being able to send a signal from 2 points into an individual so they literally hear a voice in their head that nobody around them hears.
I mean, voices are the easiest ones, because all you have to do is stimulate the cochlea with a set resonant frequency. It's very easy. Voices are very easy. And it isn't people imagining voices, they physically hear them. You can physically make people hear voices, certain voices, and it can be any conversation, and it can be anybody you want to hear. It can be a soft, angelic voice, it can be a god, it could be something that scares you like a devil. It could be anything.
DARPA let a couple of contracts back in 2011, 2012 to the University of California for what's called electronic telepathy, being able to monitor the brain activity of human beings at a distance and determine what they're thinking. And then on a second contract, actually developing complex signals, being able to send them into the brain of another person, literally transmit a message. This is where the technology is today.
After 9/11 and the birth of Homeland Security, fusion centers were set up to monitor U.S. citizens, and the U.S. Department of Justice legalized non-consensual experiments on the public. These fusion centers employ civilians to target individuals and harass them, intimidate them, vandalize their property, and interfere with their day-to-day life. This is known as gang stalking. Former high-ranking FBI agent Ted Gunderson reported in 2011 that himself and thousands of others were being targeted. FBI agent Mike German confirmed this as well. Several federal agents have reported that they were targeting individual Americans, including people who were simply pro-life, and that they were pressured to put more people on their targeting lists to legitimize more federal funding. These Homeland Security fusion centers are able to put any American citizen on the terrorist watch list without any reason or due process. In 2012, NSA whistleblower William Binney reported that the feds are conducting comprehensive surveillance on nearly every U.S. citizen and targeting whomever they please. In 2014, Glenn Greenwald exposed the methods used to target individuals, such as hacking into people's social media accounts, posing as that person, and contacting their friends and coworkers. TargetedJustice.com is currently working on suing the federal government for targeting individual U.S. citizens with different high-tech weapons, including directed energy weapons. The Havana Syndrome, when diplomats in Cuba were attacked with directed energy weapons, was not an isolated event. There are thousands of individuals who claim to be under this same sort of attack, and they have the scars to prove it. As far back as 1976, the technology to remotely alter brainwaves has existed, including voice-to-skull technology that allows the government to directly transmit voices into people's brains. As bad as all this is, it is likely to get much worse. In 2017, Dr. James Giordano gave a lecture on the latest government technologies to target individuals, such as neuroweapons to control brain function and modify memories.
I'm looking to target key individuals who may then be influential to relative aspects of their representative groups. I can affect individuals' brain functions in a variety of different ways, both positively and negatively, by engaging or disengaging nodes and networks of the brain that therefore affect their cognitions, emotions, and ultimately their behaviors. Something my colleague Jamie Canton likes to play with an awful lot is the idea of specialized neural operations. And here, once again, we're talking about the use of either drugs and or devices to modify the integrity of brain function that we realize can also modify individuals' perception of time and space. We talked earlier about how these may be used in interrogation scenarios, and this too may be used against key individuals to be able to modify their perception of time, their perception of what occurred and what did not, memory modification, etc.
Nanoparticulates that can give an individual a stroke.
So what we're able to do here is infiltrate the brain space with nanoparticulate matter that aggregates in situ, on site in the brain, and does one of two things. Either penetrates from the vascular space, gets in through the bloodstream, gets in through the nose, through the mucosa, or infiltrates the vascular space and clogs it. What is the result? What's called a nanoparticulate stroke, or a hemorrhagic diathesis, fancy word, for it's a predisposition to individuals having brain bleeds.
He explains how they can make people sick with an undetectable illness to make them go crazy.
What I'm doing is I'm using a dispersion methodology to be able to infect sentinel cases with a highly morbid condition. These individuals complain. Again, this is a central nervous system condition. So they're complaining of whatever the bug may do. It'll produce some cascade of neurological and neuropsychiatric signs and symptoms. What I've now done is I've got every individual who is diagnostically hypochondriacal, and I've got every individual who's the worried well flooding the public health system, banging on the door. The CDC comes back and says, nonsense, that's not real. CDC comes back and says, nonsense, that's not real. I come back and say, that's fake news.
We are learning new details tonight about suspected directed energy microwave attacks targeting CIA officers and top national security officials. We first started hearing about them, and we told you about them here on Special Report in 2016, shortly after then President Obama opened the embassy in Havana, Cuba. National security correspondent Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon has the latest tonight about a suspected attack here at home.
U.S. officials say there are now 130 suspected victims, mostly CIA operatives and U.S. diplomats being treated for brain injuries, debilitating headaches and vertigo, the targets they believe of a directed energy microwave weapon.
There's a mysterious direct energy weapon that is being used, and it is causing, in some cases, permanent traumatic brain injury.
New indications suggest the incidents go as far back as 1996. Two individuals working on the NSC believe they were targeted in 2019 and in 2020, just after the election. One was near the White House and one was walking her dog. The Russians have been working on mobile microwave weapons for years.
We have to get more information, and we got to tell the public what's going on.
The U.S. Air Force and tech firm Epirus have developed a mobile high-energy microwave weapon to bring down drones. Epirus is also working on a miniature variant of the weapon that can be easily transported on a pickup truck. This is the type of technology that might be targeting American diplomats.
The CIA is now taking the issue seriously, but without the actual weapon, U.S. officials don't know who to blame and how to stop these alleged attacks.
5G is a weapon. It's used by the military. Do you know these 5G millimeter wave technologies are used to scatter crowds? You know, they drive up in this technology when they want to scatter a cloud, and they put out these frequencies in a much higher power than 5G will be initially with us, but the same frequencies. And people scatter because they get the feeling their skin is on fire. Because the human body, including the skin, is an antenna. It interacts with frequencies and it receives and transmits information. At the cutting edge of understanding of DNA, scientists know that DNA is a receiver-transmitter of information. And so we are electromagnetic, electrical organisms, transmitters and receivers of information. When our electromagnetic fields are in balance and harmony, we have health. We have psychological health and we have physical health. The reason that this technological society is causing so much psychological and quote, physical disease is because these frequencies, technologically driven, and we live in this Wi-Fi world now and all the phone masts and all the rest of it, these technologically generated frequencies are scrambling the balance of the human electromagnetic electrical communication systems. And if you scramble them, you create a state of disharmony, dis-ease, which plays through to physical and mental, emotional, psychological dis-ease. And there's another point to this. The brain processes information electrically. It communicates with the cellular structure electrically. And it operates within a certain band of frequency. If you can broadcast frequencies carrying information, this technology has long been known, carrying information and perceptions within the frequency that the brain decodes information, the brain will decode those frequencies and will have those perceptions. You can externally, even without connection to AI, although that's the piece de la resistance, if you like, that's the kind of holy grail. But even before that, you can influence people's perceptions externally by broadcasting these frequencies that we interact with, because we are antenna. Okay. Now, some decades ago, there was a guy who worked out the frequencies of different emotional states. This is long ago. I mean, it's very, very sophisticated now. So every thought, every emotional response is a frequency. It generates a frequency, and it is of itself a frequency. Hate is a frequency, and it's different to love. You know, when you are in a room and there's lots of aggression and conflict and hatred, you feel it. What do people say? Oh, God, you can cut the atmosphere with a knife in there. That is because the frequencies of hate and conflict have been so generated, they have changed the electromagnetic field of the room.
Okay, so 5G is going to be weaponized against us potentially.
Yeah, but the point being that they worked out the frequencies of various emotions, including rage and what have you. And basically, they can play across a community these frequencies without anyone knowing, and it starts to have an effect, and it starts to build rage, it starts to build anger, and people might not realize why they're feeling it, but they start to feel it. And then what they do is they trigger that with an event, maybe some guy is attacked by the police or something, or somebody's arrested for something they didn't commit, and now there's the trigger. The blue touch paper's been lit of this manufactured frequency-driven rage, and you have mass riots and what have you, and people do things that they wouldn't normally do. And you can make people depressed. You know, the American military, they've admitted this. They have technology that fires frequencies at the enemy that basically breaks the enemy's spirit, so they give up and put their weapons down. This is the technology we're dealing with. Now, you take that into account, and then you think of 5G. First of all, 5G doesn't travel well because of the nature of its frequency. So instead of big towers, as we have now, broadcasting these frequencies long distances, it won't do that. And it doesn't go through solid objects, what we call solid objects, very well either. So to overcome that, there are going to be boxes broadcasting 5G, this weapon, down every street, all over the world. You're talking phenomenal numbers of these boxes, broadcasting like on the lamp standard outside your children's bedroom and stuff, broadcasting this stuff. There's no way you'll be able to go where you won't be in a field of 5G. And another interesting thing, I don't know whether you've noticed this, but the story broke, first of all, in Sheffield, when the council started cutting down literally thousands and thousands and thousands of mature trees in urban streets. And there were big protests about it. You know, Sheffield claimed to be a green city, but all these mature trees were coming down, thousands of them. And my brother, he works as a call-out bus mechanic. So a bus will break down, they'll call him, he'll come down and fix it on the side of the road. So he's traveling all the time. And he's saying it's amazing how many mature trees are being cut down. Overwhelmingly in urban places. Now, the worst nightmare, I'm not saying cause and effect, but I'm saying think on it. The worst nightmare of 5G in a street is mature trees, because it can't get through them. They don't want urban trees for 5G because it won't go through solid objects very well at all, and it doesn't travel far. So we're going to have this explosion of 5G transmitters. And then, going back to what I said earlier, and they've admitted this too, there's going to be like 20,000 satellites up there beaming 5G at the Earth.
If you are one of the elect, those that have been chosen from the foundation of the earth, best believe you are being targeted from the spiritual realm and the physical realm. Make no mistake about it. You are being zoomed in on. You have a scope on you. If you are one of the elect, chosen from the foundation of the earth. Because to the King of the universe, to the God of the Bible, you are special to him. Very special. And these entities understand that. They know you better than you know yourself. This is why you're being targeted from the spiritual realm and the physical realm. And the physical realm, they work in tandem with the spiritual realm to target you. You have a target on your back. This is why you should pray more. If you're not in the habit of praying, you should get in the habit of praying constantly. Because you are in a war that physically you can't really do much. There's no much you can do physically, but spiritually, you can do a whole lot of damage. Remember, you've been chosen. You are special to the God of the Bible, Yahweh B'Hashem, Yahweh Shai. You are very special to him through his only begotten Son. And these wicked entities, they know this. They know this. That's why I put together these clips here to let you know the avenues and the means in which you are being targeted through technology. And Elon Musk talked about how with the AI and all the high-tech technology they're doing, all they're doing is summoning demons, which demons just means intelligence, right? So they understand that they have a connection to the spiritual realm with what they are doing. See, that's why the physical and the spiritual realm are all targeting you. You have to understand this. So why a lot of the times weird thoughts come into your mind. You be like, why am I thinking this? This can't be me. Of course it's not. Most of the time it's not really you. You're being beamed these thoughts inside of you to make you think these things, which you know damn well that isn't you. You would never think like that. But you have to understand this. You have to understand the level of spiritual warfare you are in, which plays out in the physical also. You have to understand the threat you are under and to know how to move accordingly because of this. See? So I put together a couple of these clips and it is perfectly explained here. It says the legislation of non-consensual experiments in humans, targeted individuals, gang stalking, and energy weapons used to modify brain functions and health. So all this, every year some new technology is coming out. What do you think? It's not to make life easier for you. Nah, it is to oppress you in ways you don't even know how to react to it, right? Because they are beyond your realm of understanding. It's not something you are prepared for physically, mentally. Nah, you can't really prepare for something like that. But spiritually, you can. Spiritually, you can. This is where you really have power to tap into the spiritual aspect of you as one of the chosen. Lord willing, we are those, right? The elect, the 144,000, and the men, women, and children that are allotted in this time to be saved and to be part of the elect. You are in a war. Understand this. You are in a war. Before we go any further, all praises to the Most High, Yahweh B'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, B'Hashem, Hakodash. Double honors to apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught us this truth and continue to teach us this truth. Peace, salutation, shalom, shalom, shalom to all your brothers and sisters out there that are of the household of faith, beginning with the 144,000 mighty men of the house of Israel, down to the men, women, and children that are allotted to be delivered in these latter days who are of the elect, and to the brothers that are pushing this gospel in all sincerity and in all honesty. To you all I say shalom, which means peace. And yeah, we just have to go right into it because a couple of these informations, I believe a lot of you that, you know, quote unquote, being called conspiracy theorists, you don't conform to the ways of the world. Guess what? Somebody else out there knows that because they've been keeping tabs on you. They understand that you're not easily deceived. They understand that you are of a different cloth, right? You're of a different caliber, right? They understand this, so they're keeping tabs on you and they're messing with you mentally, physically, spiritually. You're being messed with. You see, you're being targeted just so they can get you off your game, just so they can get you to feel inadequate, so they can get you to feel like, oh man, maybe I'm not really who I think I am. I'm not really beloved of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. But guess what? You are beloved of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. That is exactly why you are being targeted. That is exactly why you go through what you go through. You need to understand this. Like it says here, going into targeted surveillance, gang stalking, energy weapons being used, messing with your brains, your health. These are all ways that they are playing mind games with you, playing with you. But guess what? He that is with us is greater than them, which is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And you have to know those names. You have to know the true biblical names, so you can call on these names when you are being spiritually targeted like this. A lot of you have some weird dreams. A lot of us have some weird dreams, and you wake up like, what the hell just happened? Well, that is part of this war we're talking about. And the only place you can find real protection is through the spiritual realm that you have to tap into. And the access to that spiritual realm is to know the true biblical name of the Most High and his only begotten Son, which the Most High's name, which the world ignorantly calls God or Jehovah, Yahweh. His real name is Yahweh. Yah meaning he, Hawa meaning is, or he is existence. He exists. And his only begotten Son's name is Yahweh Shai. Yah meaning he, Hawa Shai meaning Savior. He is the Savior. He is our Redeemer. He is our Deliverer. And we need those deliverance and being saved from all this attack on all fronts. Attack on all fronts. So I put together this clip that will perfectly let you know about all this stuff. Here it says 5G is a weapon that can be used to induce anger, rage, and violent behavior in the community. Right? Because the gullible ones out there, they can easily fall prey to this, and then they react, which can cause you harm because you're in the midst of people just going crazy. Just look at it now. It's like an all-out attack on everything. Smash and grabs. People are just going crazy out in the streets, especially when they spray the crazy stuff they spray in the air. Right? People are just going crazy, losing it. These are all part of that, right? There's this huge hatred for everything out there. People are just pissed off, angry, in serious rage mode. The whole term, rage driver, right? Driving rage. Forget how it's said, right? You know, the drivers are on rage mode, right? You see them out on the when you're driving, going to work or coming back home. You run into them. Well, a lot of this are generated, manufactured rage, not like, you know, naturally done. It's been manufactured, and Prince talked about this, and he linked it with the chemtrails. Now that was before they unalived him. He was on, I believe it was on mainstream news media, and he was talking about it, linking chemtrails, and when they spray chemtrails in the air, people start going crazy. But that's all part of that. So you have to understand this, understand that you are under attack from angles you cannot properly physically defend yourself from. There's no way for you to physically really defend yourself from this stuff. It's impossible to do because you can't even pinpoint where it's coming from. So the only way you can get your last line of defense is the spiritual realm. That's the only way you can tap in. You have angels. That's why it tells you in Psalms 91 chapter that the Most High will give his angels charge over you. That is the highest protection you can ever get. No 5G, no chemtrails, no directed energy weapons, none of this stuff can work on you. Get in your heads and make you bleed out from the head and cause you heart attacks. You see? You can be easily protected from all of that. Easily. This is Psalms, the 10th chapter, the first verse. It says, "O Lord, why do you stand so far away? Why do you hide when I am in trouble?" That's a question, right? It says, why is he in trouble? Well, the wicked arrogantly hunt down the poor. That is your targeted individuals right there. You're being targeted. They're hunting you down. The wicked are doing this because they know you are the righteous. You've been chosen over them. The way you are, the way your spirit is, the way your aura is nothing like them. So immediately they perceive you to be the enemy. You yourself, you might be ignorant of this fact because you're just living your life, doing the best you can to stay in the straight and narrow path, right? But to them, they look at it as a threat. Why is it that you don't want to live the way they do? You don't like wickedness the way they do. You don't like all the filth and abominations the way they do, right? So they look at you like, who do you think you are? They start to hunt you down. Start to target you. It says, let them be caught in the evil they plan for others. And all this clip that I put together is nothing but those evils they plan for you. Right? Nothing but evils they've planned for you. How to mess you up, get in your head and start beaming thoughts in your mind. Now you start thinking, man, what the hell is wrong with me? Well, it's not really you that is the problem here. You are under attack. You are under attack. Which brings us here real quick in Ephesians, the 6th chapter and the 10th verse. It says the armor of God. The armor of God, right? It says, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. You see that? It's telling you to be strong in the Lord, not in your guns, you Homo sapiens and your guns, right? Not in your guns, not in your tactical combat ability, right? Not in your jiu-jitsu. I mean, if you know how to do those, that's okay. That is a bonus, but that shouldn't be your main course. That should be like a bonus to the main thing, which the main thing is being strong in the Lord. And how are you strong in the Lord? Well, it goes on to tell you that. It says, and in the power of his might, put on the whole armor of God, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. So part of those wiles of the devil is this high-powered technology that you're being targeted with. High-powered technology that you are being targeted with from all angles, man. At your home, at your job, where you try to get your food from, right? At school, where your kids are, everywhere, even in your own car, in your own friggin' car, you're being targeted with devices you purchased with your money. You're being targeted with it. You see, these are all the wiles of the devil. That's exactly what it is. And these devils, they come in all forms and shape, which it goes on to say here, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So I'm telling you, there's no way for you to physically prepare for this. I mean, you do what you can do physically, of course. You can't just let yourself go. You do what you can do, but you have to understand it goes beyond that. It goes beyond just the physical form. So, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. You see that? So this is what you're dealing with, man. What is your guns gonna do against something like this? Your guns can't do nothing. Your judo and your karate classes you took can't do nothing against something like this, right? Going to shooting ranges, and yeah, you do that just to get, to be brolic and stay sharp. But against this, all of this right here, man, your physicality cannot begin to, deal with this. You need that spiritual aspect. So it goes on to say, wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day. And we are in those evil days, man, where they can't just crowd control, right? And have everybody going crazy, rage all throughout. They showed you that in the movie Kingsman, right? That Kingsman, they beamed that frequency in a church of all places, right? They beamed the frequency in the church, and people just lost it and started coming at each other, killing each other, man, without even a second thought, right? They didn't even think, like, they just went at each other. This had the type of technology that they have. Going back to this right here, right? This principalities and powers have given men the ability to come up with all this technology, which all comes from the God of the Bible, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, because he functions in the left-hand side and in the right-hand side. That's why in the right-hand side, his only begotten Son is at his right-hand side, Yahushua, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And on his left-hand side, Satan is on his left-hand side. So he controls the good and the bad. You see? But the right hand is stronger than the left. That's why you always gotta seek spiritual guidance from the right. While the wicked elites, they seek spiritual guidance from the left. That's why they talk about spirit guides and all stuff like that, right? It says that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench the fiery darts of the wicked. As you being targeted, coming at you with all those fiery darts at all angles from every aspect of your life, right? So you haven't put on the whole armor. Guess what? You will properly protect yourself from the fiery darts, this onslaught of attack coming at you, man. You see? You need that spiritual protection from on high, because without it, you are dead in the water. Believe you me. Because this clip, if you go through those clips, you will see that, man, what you are dealing with is bigger than you. Way bigger than you. It says, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of the Lord, right? The word of God, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. And this is where it all boils down to. You have to know this word, right? You have to know this word, and this word will be like a sword. You use it to cut down all fiery darts. Use it to cut down all deception. Cut down all lies and perversions. See? It says praying always. Like I said, if you get into the habit of praying, man, it doesn't have to be a long drawn out prayer. Just something quick to keep you stable. Because when you're out in the elements, driving to work, you don't know who the demons have already gotten control of, and they're just out there driving like a crazy individual, right? Next thing you know, somebody is running up into you. So we always got to pray, man. Always. It says praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints. Going back, like I said earlier, those that have been chosen, the elect, the 144,000, which are men down to the women and children that are allotted to be delivered. You are part of these saints, but you have to be an Israelite first. The true biblical Israelites, which have nothing to do with the hook-nosed little hats wearing MFers over there in the land, right? Those are imposters. And it has nothing to do with the skin color also, neither. I mean, predominantly, it is your Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. But you have the scattering among those, right? They don't look like a typical Israelites now because of the scattering that has happened. They look like the nations they've been scattered to, right? So if the word of the Lord, you're drawn to it, guess what? More than likely, you are one of those saints. Regardless of what you look like. It says, and for me, that utterance may be given unto me, that I may open my mouth boldly to make known the mystery of the gospel. You see that? This is Apostle Paul talking here, and this is what we want, to have that confidence in the word of the Lord and to speak it boldly out there, no matter what you're battling, right? No matter what you're fighting against, even being under attack by this fiery darts and all that, right? You persevere through all of it. It says, for which I am an ambassador in bonds, that therein I may speak boldly as I ought to speak. That's what it is. This is Psalms 119 chapter and the 100th verse. It says, I understand more than the ancients because I keep thy precepts. Right? So when you keep the precepts, the word that are written in the Bible, these are precepts, right? Guess what? Your understanding grows, and that makes you a target. That right there puts a target on your back, because you're not like an average Joe out there drinking a six-pack, living in la la land, not worried about a goddamn thing, right? You're different from that. So that ultimately you will be targeted. It says, I have refrained my feet from every evil way, that I may keep that word. So you not trying to be, quote unquote woke, like they say out there, right? You not trying to conform to the image of Baal, to conform to the ways of the world. Guess what? You make yourself a prey. You make yourself a target. See? Say, I have not departed from thy judgments, for thou hast taught me. And how did that happen? Well, by taking heed to the word. It says, how sweet are thy words unto my taste, yea, sweeter than honey to my mouth. Right? This is how we're supposed to feel about this word. We shouldn't put it above anything, because there's nothing above this word. It says, through thy precepts I get understanding, therefore I hate every false way. See? Now you've been endowed by the wisdom from on high, and you hate every false way. Guess what? Puts a target in your back. Straight up. Says, thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. You see? So even in a dark, perverse, and crooked world, guess what? The word is showing you the way, the right way to go. So you don't get caught up with all these traps and snares that have been set out there. See? It says, I have sworn and I will perform it, that I will keep thy judgments, thy righteous judgments. I am afflicted very much. Aren't we afflicted? Right? All angles. Some days you wake up, man, you feel like, you're about to die or something. See? It's harder to sleep, it's hard to sleep, even harder to wake up. That's a life we're living, man. The human experience has gone bad. You see? So I'm afflicted very much. Quicken me. How is that? Well, O Lord, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, according unto thy word. And the word will quicken us and put us in an elevated state, that none of this wickedness will touch us, and properly cloak us, right? Cloak us and put that armor on us, that we won't be subject to the fiery darts of the wicked. We will easily brush it off. This is our prayer. This is our prayer. And we pray that the Most High forget us not. And He, even in the midst of us being targeted the way we are, that He always protects us, give His angels charge over us. And with that, all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, B'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, B'Hashem, Ruach HaKodash. Double honors to apostles and elders of Great Millstone. See you next time, Lord willing. Shalom. Shalom.